Hey. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Late Afternoon Show. It's your boy, Tim, Mr. Meaningful Work. We're about to get this party started. You know how we like to do before that beat drops. 3, 2, 1. Hey. Hey. On the same. Hey. Let's go. Woo. Hey, let's go. I just want to welcome everybody to another edition of the Late Afternoon Show. I am so excited. We are rounding the corner on season 5 here. Let us know if you are joining us on LinkedIn or on YouTube. Let us know your name. Let us know where you are joining us from in the chat. That's how we know that you're here at the party. But we're going to vibe a little bit and let everybody show up. I know some people don't like to be the first person at a party. You don't want to be the one that everybody is seeing. You want to come in fashionably late. I know the feels. So we're going to give you some time to come and join the Late Afternoon Show. Electric magnetism in the air. It's all about those good vibrations. I'm buzzing like guitars and rock and roll. Because you give me those good hey. I've been waiting all week for Tuesday. Let's go. If you missed our last episode, please go check us out on MrMeaningfulWork.com. Go to LinkedIn. Go and check our latest posts. Go and see us on YouTube. If you have any thoughts, recommendations, suggestions, MrMeaningfulWork.com. That's where all the information lives. Let's go. Oh my God. I had to let down my guard when you asked me about my zodiac sign. Hey. Bouncing it back and forth, knocking out shots from the 3-point line. Let's go. Oh, yeah. Electric magnetism in the air. I'm on one today. We're talking with the amazing, the phenomenal, the incredible Jamie Kulman today. You do not want to miss. Let's get those good old vibrations. Let's go. We're about to land the plane here in a little bit. Giving everybody a little bit. Oh. It's a vibe. Let me get some of this coffee real quick. Let's go. We're about to start the show. Hey. All right. Let's land, folks. Let's break it down. Hey. Oh, man. Oh, my goodness. Yo, you had me busting up a sweat up in this place. I'm sweating in it. Look, I've been scratching I need to cut my hair. Y'all seeing my bald spots. Let me keep it at this angle so it looks even. Oh, my goodness. I got one gray hair over here. You guys can't see it. I wish the whole thing would grow in gray, but this receding hairline is not allowing me to be great. But anyway, we are here on the 15th day of the 3rd month of the year 2022. And how have you guys been? I want you guys to let me know. If you're watching this live, if you're catching this on the restream, I want you to chat in. We reply to all the chats. We reply to all the comments. So if you are having a great first quarter, let us know. If you're having a challenging first quarter, let us know what has been meaningful to you in the last 2.5 months. We know this world is going through some crazy things. It's kind of like you get these highs and lows, right? It's like pandemic situations are kind of coming down. Some places are loosening up mass restrictions. Numbers are going down. And then you got the situation out in Ukraine and Russia that you just can't avoid, and seeing the suffering that's going on over there. So just let us know. How are you dealing? How are you feeling? Because we know this affects us, right? We're living in a world that is more connected than it's ever been before, right? So folks that are here in the States, if you're in California, you're seeing what's going on in Europe, right? If you're in Europe, you're feeling it there. folks over here, gas prices are high. Like, it is just out of this world. So let us connect. This is a forum where we can connect, where we can chat. We can take a little break from the stresses of what's going on and just focus on what is meaningful. And today, I am so excited to be talking with Jamie. Oh my goodness! So as I was, a little backstory, I'm trying to beef up my repertoire, as it would, on meaningful work. And so Megan from Memphis, hey, what's up, girl? Oh man. And so I'm reading on different topics. I'm going on different websites. I'm using LinkedIn. I'm using hashtags. Like, what are people saying? What are folks talking about? And I'm going through, and then I see a couple hits of this lady, Jamie, and she just has this presence, right? If you know me, I'm all about presence, okay? I'm all about presence. All about bringing your full, authentic self to whatever stage you're presenting on. And I just saw the content and the joy and the sincerity, the authenticity in the content that she was sharing. So I went and I binged her content. I went on her feed and I was binging Jamie. And then I finally had to hit her up and say, hey, I found you. I would love to connect. And I love when people love connecting. It just makes my job that much easier. And she was so open to connect, and we wanted to have her on the show. So anyway, y'all are tired of hearing me. Y'all are tired of me. We are about to introduce you to none other than the life and business coach extraordinaire herself. Where's my audience at? Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome to the stage Jamie Kulman.
Woo! Hey.
Okay. Sit down. Quiet down. What's up, Jamie?
Well, I've just been watching your performance and I am just loving your energy. It just radiates, and I'm just so thankful for you.
Man, that radiation is getting me. You see that heat? I'm like, I need to. Where's my sweat rag? But Jamie, it's because I'm excited. I'm excited that we get this opportunity to chat, to connect, to really share your perspective. The thing that I was impressed with, I was like, man, I got to get this out. I know you have your community, you have your tribe, you have your folks, your audience. I was like, I need some of that for the meaningful work audience. They need to see what I'm seeing and experience what I'm experiencing. So talk to us. What are you famous for? Whether professionally, at home, whatever. For me, it's storytelling and tacos. That's what I'm famous for. Ooh. But what is that for you, Jamie?
What am I known for? I would say I'm known for doing things differently.
Okay.
Like, that's a big one. I always kind of like go against the grain, forge my own path. So my parents would call that difficult growing up, but
everybody has their own definitions. It's okay. Yeah.
Yes. So I would say that. And then at this point, it's really my podcast, right? And like you said, back to like authenticity, finding your voice, really stepping into your purpose and what that looks like.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. And how long, I mean, you've been doing the approaching things differently, seems like, from when you were just a little Jamie. How long have you been doing the podcast and purpose and really kind of stepping into that? How long's that been?
So the podcast since August 2020.
Okay.
Kind of my first entrepreneurial path, I was slinging automotive parts out of my garage at 15 years old.
Let's go. So you're in sales?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Hey, salespeople have a place in my heart, girl. Like, I have sold everything. I have sold disaster recovery. I've sold knives. I've sold insurance. I've sold pretty much everything and I love it. Like, I love it. So were folks coming to your garage? Like, was that like your retail spot, or was it like a place an order and come pick it up? What was that?
It was all online sales. So but I would be out there. So I would have this garage and I'd be out there, whether it was negative 10 degrees outside or whether it was 100 degrees. I was out there covered in grease, like hands and knees, scrubbing down these auto parts and shipping them out. So
man, that is, the best things come from garages, right? The best companies, the best bands, the best garages. You know what? There needs to be we should start it differently. We should just call it the Garage Podcast. Like the folks, like
Mhm.
where the creative ideas are sparked, where the hustle is sparked in the garage. So, but creative, not difficult. Thank you, Megan.
I love that.
Creative, not difficult. I appreciate that. So talk to us a little bit about what you're doing. I have been talking with some of my friends in the past when I was doing consulting. Some of my friends would ask, like, "Are you a life coach?" I was like, "No, I'm like a business and like a management consultant, and I'm trying to like separate between management and business consulting versus helping somebody to like navigate their life." And they would always kind of like laugh or snicker or like side eye me, like, and first of all, like, what is a life coach? Like, how can you coach somebody on how to do life? So talk to us a little bit about what that looks like for you and how you came into that and what your particular brand of that is.
Yeah. So when I kind of switched gears and decided like, hey, physical products, like I love the freedom that entrepreneurship online gives me. I
Yeah.
know that's my path. However, physical products just weren't really it for me.
Mm,
I just wanted to be able to use my voice in that type of way. And so truly it was it was that realization that I needed to make a change and make a
mm,
shift. And so I went down the avenue of sales funnels, thinking that I need a
mm-hmm,
website, all of these different things to be successful.
mm-hmm.
Okay? And so it was a lot of strategy-based things that you would think that you need to run a business.
Yeah.
And I did that for a long time with hardly any results, to be honest with you. I was slaving away behind my computer screen like 12 hours a day,
Yikes.
hardly making ends meet, just like straight up eye strain, not sure what I'm doing, spinning my wheels all the time. And it wasn't until I realized that it's ultimately who you're becoming on the journey that matters. Because you can get all the best
Mm,
tactics and strategies in the world, but
mm,
until you become the version of you that vision, like that has cultivated that vision and made it a reality, until you step into that version of you, the strategies don't matter. And so
mm,
that was a huge shift for me. And so I don't look at them really like they're two separate things. I don't think you can truthfully do one without the other. And so it's looking at really the business as an extension of who you are. And it's being the person who shows up and does things like this because it's just who you are,
mm.
right? But then
It's
there's
about
also the business stuff to
And
that.
then there's the business stuff, right? So I
Uh-huh.
think that is an important call out, right? And I put it here for folks that may have missed it. It's about who you're becoming on the journey that matters, because oftentimes folks get so fixated on, like you said, the strategy or the outcome or the product, right? And they're not able to see what is that working within them, like what are the character traits that they're developing, what are the strengths that are being maximized, what are the gaps that are being exposed, and that
Mhm.
awareness that happens, and then like you said, you're spinning your wheels because you're looking at the outcome, but you're not focusing on like the engine that's really powering that thing. And so was that easy for you? Like once you were able to see, okay, this is who I am becoming, and you separate that from like the work of the product, to be able to start focusing more energy on that. Like, what was that movement like from strategy and the outcome to manifesting the person that you wanted to be?
It was weird.
It was weird.
Like like, it
Keep
didn't
it
feel
real, Jamie. Keep it
natural.
real. Yeah.
It didn't feel natural to me because I was
Yeah.
like, I'm supposed to be inside the trenches doing all of the work.
Yeah.
And so taking a step back from that was hard, and
Hmm.
realizing that the work that I do on myself is just as important, if not more so, than getting down in the trenches as
Hmm.
I was before. And so that was huge to
Hmm.
realize, but making that shift, it can be difficult if you're someone
Yeah.
who, has been tied up on the strategy for a long time.
I can't help but think about thank you, Megan, for putting that in here as far as like engagement.
Mm,
I think of engagement and I think of employees, organizations, and I think about folks that are high performance, right? High performance individuals that are driven by outcome and performance. Like, hey, I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to show up in this particular way. In your business now, so you deal with clients, like you're working with clients. Are your clients mostly folks that are in organizations? They're employees of organizations. Let me answer you that. Are those kind of like your client base, or what are your clients? Who are your
Yeah.
clients?
Many of my clients right now are not at a job. Like a lot of
Okay.
them are venturing out on their own. Like I have one client
Mm.
right now who's writing a book and she also
Mm.
has a coaching business. And so a lot of them are leaders. I mean,
Okay.
ultimately they're a leader who might feel like something's kind of holding them back from claiming their full power. Maybe they
Hmm.
want to start a podcast. Maybe they
Hmm.
have wanted to write a book for 5 years, but just something blocked them from
Hmm.
taking action towards it. And that's
Yeah.
really the work that we do.
So you help them. So they know the blockage is happening. They just don't know
Mhm.
what it is,
Right.
right? And then so your role is to kind of come in and help them figure out what that blockage is and how to come out on the other side of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's interesting is that block that's holding them back from, say, starting a podcast, right? Is the same block that's preventing their coaching business from growing.
Hmm.
It's all connected. Okay.
Hmm.
And so that's the really interesting part is like seeing where you're held back in your personal life is exactly where you're held back in business.
Wow.
And so that's why it's the work is like so interconnected. It's
Yeah.
wild. And it honestly shocks me all the time because
Hmm.
it's like so simple because it's like, oh, you fix your money block and then
Yeah.
boom, you
Yeah.
can start signing a client, right? But it's
Yeah.
that kind of stuff that comes through and like holds someone completely back from their level of success that they could have.
Man, man. So since we have you here, Madam Coach, since we have you here, if there are people that are listening to this that are in the same or similar boat, right? They have a dream, they have a vision, they have something that they feel like they're called to do or called to say, or a version of themselves that they need to get out, but they're experiencing that blockage. I'm sure, and this is just an assumption, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that it is different for different people. Is that a safe assumption?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. So it's different for different people. Without getting too much into the weeds,
Mhm.
are there themes, maybe like commonality, like 5 out of 10 or 7 out of 10 of the folks that you've interacted with, like some common blockages, and maybe one or two interventions for, what is something, if I am experiencing this blockage, what is something that I can do today, tomorrow, next week to overcome that?
Yeah, 100%. So the first thing that's coming to mind right now is fear, right?
Fear.
Because what's happening is that fear is what keeps you inside of your comfort zone. So if somebody's listening to this and they're thinking about doing something uncomfortable,
Yeah.
that will either do one of two things. They'll either stay in that comfort zone and not grow
Hmm.
due to the fear, which is your ego trying to keep you safe, or they will break through that edge and they will grow on the other side of that fear. But
Hmm.
ultimately, if you let that fear control you, it's it's not a good thing. Like
Hmm.
that is where your dreams go to die, right? So I would say the first thing is fear. Like I see that way too often. Societal constructs. So maybe something you were raised with maybe parents who always said you have to go to college, you have to get a job, right? That was me. And so societal constructs are another thing that I hear a lot.
Hmm.
And it's just like all the you should do this, you should do that. And that gets ingrained in you over years and years and years. And then it's kind of like you don't really get to decide for yourself because all those shoulds are kind of clouding your vision for what you have for your life. And it's technically what other people have put inside of you or like ingrained inside of you.
Wow. Wow. So fear and societal constructs. I know coming from, um, I'm Nigerian, and talking with other folks that have immigrated here from other countries. There's kind of this expectation, just from a career perspective, right? There are these expectations that you only have 3 career options. You're either a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer, right?
Mm.
And if you're not in one of those, or as a man, you're supposed to do this, this, and this. And if your passion or if your longing or your strength falls outside of that, then you're going to get that blockage, right? You're going to get that resistance. So, I mean, I would love to hear maybe 1 or 2 ways from, maybe there's just picking societal constructs of one or 2 ways that folks can overcome that. We do have some questions coming in. I'll let you read them. You can see the questions coming in. Why don't you get that first question from Megan?
Yeah, it says, how are blockages and burnout the same, different, fear? So like what's coming to mind for me right now in terms of blockages and burnout, I feel like a blockage prevents you from taking action. And this could be something from your childhood that somebody said to you and you never took it off. You've like worn that around like it was your identity. Okay. And so something like that could be so ingrained deep inside of you. Like, for example, let's say you were at a talent show, you were up on stage and you froze. And maybe somebody said, oh, well, you just weren't meant to be a public speaker. Well, now here in your adult life, you have an opportunity to go speak in front of 200 people. And somewhere in your subconscious mind, you're thinking about that. You might not know it, but like deep inside of you, even if you forgot about this experience, it's inside of you. And that's why you're scared to public speak. And so that's a blockage that could exist. And it's just going to prevent you from showing up and doing it because there's fear, right? So it's very connected. And then really thinking about burnout, burnout is completely different because burnout is like you're doing something often, like you're fully doing it. It's just wearing you out. So maybe you're not aligned with it. Maybe you don't really consider it meaningful, or it's not your purpose, right? So that would be burning out. Or maybe it's doing the same thing again and again and it's not working. Like Einstein says, right? And expecting a different results.
Right.
And ultimately it's starting to burn you out. So I would say that would be kind of where I'm sitting with that one.
Yeah, some key differences between I appreciate that. And it sounds like, I mean, from your experience when you were going through, even though you're able to kind of step out of it and recognize, okay, this is who I'm becoming as a result of this process, but I'm doing this thing, I'm doing this thing, I'm doing this thing, and I'm getting, results that are not aligned with who it is that I want to become. That could lead to burnout, and that could be the catalyst for change versus something that's stopping you from even making that step. I love that differentiation of that. And so, yeah, thank you, Megan. Yeah, so sounds like Asia, some other countries, don't shit all over yourself. I love that. Oh, look at this. Maybe parents are also driven by fear to push us towards secure jobs. So, wow. So then you have fear driving fear, or fear creating or begatting fear. Have you run into that before?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, and when I think back to my parents, when they were kind of putting this on me, it was their fear. They were trying to keep me safe because they were worried. And so they had the best intentions, but it's just being, first off, so clear on what your vision looks like and so driven towards it that it doesn't matter what anybody else is going to say. But that's absolutely right. It's other people's fear that they're projecting back on us. But unfortunately, for a lot of people, it prevents them from taking action because they look at their family. They're like, well, that's my family. The one group of people who's supposed to be the most supportive, and they're not.
Yeah.
But if I would have listened to them, and if they're watching this, I love you dearly. But like, if I would have listened, I would still be working at a car dealership right now.
Yeah. So what do you, so let's go to interventions, right? So let's say we've identified that the blockage is societal construct, in whatever shape that is. And I'm sure the intervention maybe would be dependent on that, but let's say it is parental expectation. as a construct, you're supposed to do this, or your industry or culture has you supposed to doing this. What would be the first step, maybe the step one, step two, that you would recommend to folks who are experiencing that?
Yeah. And honestly, I feel the method kind of remains the same no matter what the blockage is. Like
Okay.
if something's holding you back, like so there's multiple phases to what I'm gonna kind of dive into right now, but it's really self-awareness. Okay.
Hmm.
And so it's being able to ask yourself the right questions. And this is something that can be practiced and you can get good at it really fast. Okay.
Hmm.
So what this looks like for me, and I'll give a personal example because I feel like this has helped me grow like tremendously, not only in personal life, but my business as well. And it's addressing what's going on. Okay. So you write, let's just say, like my parents want me to go to school, but it doesn't feel aligned with me. So you're going to
Hmm.
write down on a journal page or something up on a whiteboard, whatever, write down the question or the problem. Okay. Then basically flip that to what you want it to be. Okay. So, like, completely write the opposite and then journal through what's going on in your mind right now. And this has been so powerful. I do it every single day. Like, if anything comes up in my mind, like, let's say it's a money block, like I've talked about that.
Yeah.
That's something that held my business back for a long time. Okay. So it's like if you feel a money block coming up, if you feel a limiting belief or like your confidence is lacking, it's asking yourself questions to figure out what that looks like and how you can actually work to rewrite it because it's
Hmm.
possible. It's all the stories, like, think about it. It's all the stories that you're telling yourself.
Right.
So if you can learn to flip the script, I mean, you can change your
Wow.
entire life. I mean,
Wow. And so you then help guide folks on what questions to ask, right? So let's look at that limiting belief. Let's look at that blockage. Let's look at that, whatever it is. And what questions should you be asking? Because, I
mhm,
mean, as I'm thinking now, if I think of something that um, I will use myself as an example, similar to your situation, I have a course that I'm trying to put out.
mhm,
And in talking with my with my coach, we talk about, so what price do you want to put this at? And I'm like, uh, and I'm putting this like number, and she was like,
mm,
what? And she's asking me like, why is this the number? And I'm like, oh well, I'm new and I'm this and I'm that, and all those things. And there's a limiting factor there, but the questions that I would need to ask myself to be able to like flip that um would absolutely change the game. Like I mean, I'm seeing as I'm just thinking about it now, like I'm already seeing the benefit of questioning myself and then, like you said, flipping it
yeah.
to what I want, right?
And you're exactly right. And that example right there is so spot on.
Yeah.
But it gets to the point in your journey where, like, right now, if I'm thinking of something like, for example, like my target income goal for March, okay?
Yeah.
Like I can think of the number and then I'm like, well, why wasn't it twice that much? Well, why
Mm.
was it that? And then you
Yeah.
start like you go down this mental like rabbit hole kind of, but then you get to figure out like, well, why didn't I feel like it was worth twice that much?
Mm.
And so those are
Yeah.
the kind of questions that you begin answering and you
Yeah.
truly figure out so much within you that is preventing your growth.
Yeah.
It's honestly it's really powerful.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Do you ever, as you're going through, as you're, talking to different folks and, learning different things and providing this different um, intervention, like what keeps it exciting for you? Like what gets you going? What gets you excited about the work that keeps you coming back?
Yeah, and it's so different, I feel, in terms of from the podcast and with my
Mm,
group program, like,
yeah,
because with the group, it's neat because I can actually see people transforming. Like,
yeah,
it's emotional sometimes because
yeah,
it's like you think that it's something so surface level. right?
Yeah.
But then when we dig down, we figure out that it's something that they haven't dealt with since childhood.
Man.
But that's why they're not showing up in their business on
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah.
Like it's so interesting.
Yeah.
But that's been beautiful to watch
Yeah.
the shift in their
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah.
But then with the podcast, it's just like documenting the journey. And as you know from this show, it's
Yeah.
just, it's really cool to even go back and listen to your old shows and your old
Oh,
episodes and just hear your own growth.
it's cringy. I can't even, like, I just started, like,
Yeah.
I started October of the same year that you did, and I
Oh.
go back and I'm all like, yeah.
But you know what?
Doing?
I hear so many people who want to go and like redo or erase their first episodes, and I'm like, that's
Don't do it.
priceless. I mean, it shows how much you've grown.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, don't do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Like, and I've been tempted to do that, but I also know, like, appreciate the journey and the learning that, not just for myself, like, yes, there's learning personally, but if somebody else, Mr. Meaningful Work, the late afternoon show, 2, 4, 5, 6 years from now, we're blowing up, we're crushing it. If I had an opportunity to go back and see Oprah's first interview or Joe Rogan's first like podcast, like if I was able to see these guys and like how they were able to progress, like all we see is like the end result, like where they are now. And it seems impossible. Like that's just too far. But you see the journey, and it's encouraging. And so I was like, okay, I'm not there anymore, thank God. But we've been able to move and progress. So for you, like, I mean, what does 2 years, what is Jamie Coleman doing? 2 years, 5 years, the podcast, the business. What does growth and expansion and success look like for you?
Yeah. And one thing I would love to add, like before I dive into that, is like it's never going, like I'm never gonna be there.
Mm,
And I'm okay with that.
right.
And I've noticed like as I hit these goals and these benchmarks that I've set, and I'm trying to work through this,
Yeah.
I celebrate it for an evening.
Mm,
And then it's on to the next thing.
yeah.
And so I think you need to celebrate along the way, right? And that's something that
Yeah.
I'm really focusing on harnessing because it
Yeah.
is all about the journey. So I
Yeah.
wanted to start by saying that it's like
Thank
it's
you.
not just like you're not just gonna get there one day and be like, "Oh, I made it. I'm all done." Like
Done. Hang it up.
off you go. Like
Yeah.
no, it's
Yeah.
not gonna happen. So
Yeah.
yeah, but so for me, really growth.
Yeah.
I mean, growth and presence would have to be
Yeah.
the two words that are coming to mind right now.
Mhm.
I know I've been having a lot of energy around public speaking in terms of like
Mm,
bigger in-person stages and like
yeah.
the virtual online space, but I'm
Right.
really feeling called. And that's been on my heart for a while. So
Yeah.
speaking in person, and then also I feel a lot of energy right now around writing a book.
Mm,
And I would love to just share a little bit about that because for the longest time I said, well, I'm not ready. I'm
mm,
not ready. I kept saying
mm.
that again and again. Well, there's no energy around a book yet. I'll know when it's time. And I had a really interesting realization on Saturday. And that was that I'm never going to be ready.
Come on now.
And that's when you're ready because you
Come on.
realize that your book has been being written since you were born.
Let's go.
And so I'm realizing like, damn, I'm actually like, I have a lot to write about. I better like get on
Come
this
on.
because like if I don't start it now, I'm gonna have way too much to add to
Oh,
it. So I'm feeling like a lot of energy around that right now. Definitely growing the podcast. The next like
yeah.
6 weeks, we're really focusing on getting further up in Apple's charts.
Yeah.
So that's big right now.
Oh,
Growing the coaching business is definitely big for me. More the group side of things,
yeah.
though. We're looking to really expand on that avenue, but
Yeah.
it's ultimately though, it's back to what I said about like the person who's speaking on stages with a best-selling book.
Yeah.
It's different than the person who's sitting right here. But that's where it's my job and my responsibility to get very, very clear on who that person is and to start showing up as her today. Because the version of me from before, right, who was taking action as the me, would be very happy with how far we've come. However, if I'm going to continue on this journey, I need to keep leveling up. And so it's continuously striving not for more, but just to be more of who you're meant to be and to really like cultivate that energy from your future into the present.
Let's go. Let's go. Preach. Megan is talking about the strengths here. So, strengths, learner, belief, communication, futuristic, competitive. I love that. I love that. I wanted to like this virtual situation is like so blocking because as you were talking about like your situation, I just wanted to like come and sit next to you, like over where you because like I feel that molecularly, especially around the book thing. I refuse, like I was vehement about like I'm not cool enough, smart enough, like experienced enough to write a book. And different people approached me about it. So my wife was like, da 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 da, you should write a book. And I was like, what? Why? Who? For what? Like, I don't have anything. And Jamie, four different people approached me, independent of talking about them, about da 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 da. You should write a book. Da 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 da. You should write a book. And I'm like, about what? And they're like, and they looked at me like I was stupid. Like, about what? About everything. Like, and just being able to have that realization that you're never going to be at this spot where it's like, huh, all right, let's go, let's do it. It's like, no, just take the things that you have, take what you have, put it together for what you have right now, iterate it, and then move on. Take what you have, recognize it, appreciate it, and then move on. And the 10-year version of yourself, right? Jamie in 2030, Tim in 2030 is just me in 10 years. So if I want that, if I'm doing whatever I'm doing right now, and that doesn't align with what that person is going to be 10 years from now, then I need to start shifting my behavior, my beliefs, my questions, my perspective to who that person is so that I am that version 10 years earlier or whatever that is. So, man.
Yeah. It's wild. And that kind of comes back in for me, like what just came through when you were speaking is like, why did I feel like it goes back to like asking yourself those questions. It's like, why didn't I feel ready? And why am I like, why am I, it's just, it all comes back down to like getting deep with yourself. Like, cause I feel like right now in the world that we live in, unfortunately, way too often conversations don't go the way this one has. It's like, unfortunately, I feel people just kind of scratch the surface and they're not asking the right questions to truly guide a type of experience. And so it's sometimes asking yourself the right questions to really get to what you truly want.
You got to. Oh man, Megan, storytelling should be live. Your book is one-page summaries of your guests. TEDx speakers are more impactful than books. Yes, preach. Man, we can turn this whole thing into the late afternoon show church because y'all are preaching out here. Yes. Well, before we let everybody go today, we're coming up to the bottom of our time, and I always want to get your perspective on what is meaningful work to you. How would you define meaningful work?
It's a great question. I feel like meaning and purpose go so hand in hand. And truly, for me, it feels like something that you're feeling called to do. So you should really feel a pull towards doing something. And what would make it truly meaningful for you is impact. And not focusing on the wrong things like the external measures of success, say a nice house, a nice car, nice fancy vacations, a beautiful watch. Like ultimately, if you're aligned with your purpose and you're doing meaningful work, that stuff will come. Like, that's not a question.
Mm.
But you have to be aligned with your purpose. You have to be doing something that just drives you. Because at the end of the day, when you're 70 years old, 80 years old, retire because you just love what you do, like that's one direction this could go. Or you could be 70 years old looking back on your life and say, shit, I missed it.
Damn it.
And that's the difference for me.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, it's almost like I'm at a nightclub here. I don't have lights on, and then the sun went down, and so it's dark
we
here
can play
now.
the music. No, I love that. I mean, we have, I don't know if you can see this shirt back here. So one of our it's probably backwards here. I don't know if it's reading forward or backwards, but it says meaningful work, but it's impactful, fulfilling, meaningful work. So that comment that you said as far as impact and calling, right? Impact and calling, that drive, impact and calling that drive that sense of meaningfulness in the work that you're doing. And when you look back, 60, 70, 20, 30 years from now and says like, yeah, that's what I was called to do. Or the opposite of like, damn it, give me 70 more years, please.
Yeah. And that's the crazy part. It's like, you can't hit rewind.
No.
And so like, if anyone is sitting there and they're like, what, like, I don't know what my purpose is.
Yeah.
Spend the next 10 years just working to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was light.
And there was light. All you had to do was speak it into existence. Manifest. Yo, I'm telling you, this is turned into a church. We need an organ because you are just speaking it into life. I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Jamie. I have learned so much. I mean, this has literally turned into a coaching session for me. Like, this is probably more selfish. Like, I'm just taking all these nuggets for myself. Hopefully, folks have been able to get some nuggets about how to unblock. Right? How to unblock, how to really tap into, again, who you're trying to become, and what are the questions that you need to be asking. How are you going to be flipping the script, flipping per perspective? If you want to learn more about these, please go follow Jamie. Again, I found her through like a search. I brought her here. I want you guys to go and engage. You guys will see exactly what I'm talking about. Talk to us about, like, tell us name of your podcast, name of your business, how folks can get in touch with you, Jamie.
Yeah. So the podcast is Aligned with Purpose in Life and Leadership. So definitely go check that out. Yes. And really, to anyone listening to this, if you feel like something is blocking you or preventing you from that next level, or maybe there's just something inside of you that's like, what if? What if I followed the call? Head over to, and I'm trying to think of where I should direct you right now.
Put them all. We'll put them in the.
Okay, because I have a private podcast that I just filmed. It's 6 short episodes, and really what it dives into is how I went from $40,000 in credit card debt and the shift that I made in myself and in my business that led to my first $20,000 day as a virtual coach. So I share everything in that podcast, and you can find that at jamiekulman.com/private podcast.
You guys are getting the VIP. Jamie, I'm putting it right here. Kulman.com/PRIVATE podcast. All right. So folks, this is these are the secrets. These are the hacks. These are the things that have worked, right? So this is not theory. Yeah. This is practice, by way of what you can do, mindset shifts, perspective shifts that result in real world benefit, right? Real world benefit. Hopefully I got this URL right. Did I get that right?
Yep. Looks right on my end.
All right. So everybody, that is our show today. Thank you so much for joining us on the late afternoon show. If you have any questions, suggestions, recommendations, on who we're talking to, what we're talking about, please shoot me a line on LinkedIn. We have a group, the Meaningful Work Movement. We'll put that in the comments tomorrow. We'll highlight some of the key points from today's topic. If you missed it, check it on the rebroadcast. Just connect with us and connect with Jamie here as well. And we will see you next week. Next week, we're going to have a double feature. So we're going to have a Tuesday episode. We're going to have a Thursday episode as well. We just had so many phenomenal guests that we wanted to fit into March before we end the late afternoon show this season. But everybody, thank you so much. We are going to vibe out. Where is my studio? We are going to end it for today. For those that were able to join us in the chat, Megan, thank you so much. I saw somebody else at LinkedIn. I didn't grab the name that showed up. So if you joined us today, we appreciate you so much. And where is our... All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's our show. It's been real. It's Mr. Meaningful Work, Ms. Jamie Kulman. Let's know as we go. Good vibrations, y'all. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of your week. Make it meaningful, ladies and gentlemen. Hey. Hey, hey, hey. I need to make my thing look like a club because you're already in the club. I'm just saying. Hey, hey. All right. All right, everybody. Oh, you got the lights too. Let's go. We'll see everybody next